So this happened to me a few months ago and I still can't believe how stupid I was for so long. I'm Dana, I'm 30, and I thought I had a pretty normal family. Turns out I was wrong about that. Let me tell you about my family first. There's my parents, mom's 52, dad's 55. They've been married forever and live in the same house I grew up in. Then there's my sister Michelle. She's 27, 3 years younger than me, and she's always been the baby of the family. While I moved out when I was 22 and got my own place, Michelle never left home. She's still living with mom and dad, which honestly I never thought was weird until recently. I've been working at this marketing firm for about 6 years now. It's not glamorous but it pays well and I'm good at what I do. I've been saving money like crazy because I had this dream of buying my own house. Not just any house, I wanted something nice, maybe with a yard, definitely in a good neighborhood. I'd been putting away money for 5 years straight. Every bonus, every raise, most of it went straight into savings. That Tuesday morning started like any other. I was at my desk, going through emails, when my boss called me into his office. I figured I was in trouble or something, but instead he told me I was getting promoted to senior account manager. The salary bump was huge, like 30% more than I was making. I walked back to my desk feeling like I was floating. This was it. This was the break I'd been waiting for. With this new salary, I could finally buy that house I'd been dreaming about. I couldn't focus on work after that. All I could think about was telling my family. I knew they'd be over the moon about this news. Around 2 p.m., I decided to take the rest of the day off. I wanted to celebrate with my family properly. I stopped at this bakery I know Mom loves and bought this massive chocolate cake. It was probably way too much cake for 4 people, but I didn't care. I was feeling generous. I drove over to my parents' house, the same house I grew up in on Maple Street. I've had a key since I was a teenager and they never asked for it back, so I just let myself in like I always do. I opened the front door quietly and was about to call out when I heard voices coming from the kitchen, Mom, Dad, and Michelle all talking. Then I heard my name. I stopped dead in my tracks in the living room. They were talking about me, and something about the way they were saying it made me freeze up. I know I should have announced myself again, but instead I just stood there and listened. Dana's got all that money saved up, Michelle was saying. She's been putting it away for years. She's got to have like 200 grand by now. Well, we've helped her build up that savings account plenty of times, Dad said, and he was laughing. Actually laughing. What the hell did that mean? Remember last year when I told her I needed money for Aunt Carol's treatments, Mom said. She gave me $5,000 without even asking questions. We had such a nice time in Hawaii. My stomach dropped. Aunt Carol? My aunt who lives in another state and was supposedly having health issues? But I gave Mom that money for her treatments. I remembered feeling so bad for Aunt Carol, remembered staying up at night worrying about her. And when I told her I was sick and needed money, Dad added. She gave me that cash right away, and we got Michelle that designer purse she wanted instead. I felt like I was going to throw up. The cake in my hand suddenly weighed 1,000 pounds. Dana's so easy, Michelle said. I told her I needed $1,000 last month and she didn't even ask what for. Just transferred it right to my card. That's because she trusts her family, Mom said. She's always been naive like that. Naive, they thought I was naive. But this time we need serious money, Michelle continued. I'm in deep with these debts. I owe $150,000 total, credit cards, personal loans, friends, everyone. People are starting to call in favors and I'm screwed if I don't pay up soon. Don't worry, Mom said, I've got it all figured out. I'll tell her I have cancer, that I need expensive treatment or surgery. She'll believe it and give us the money immediately. What if she asks for medical records? Dad asked. She won't, and if she does, I'll cry and act sick and she'll feel too guilty to push. Besides, Michelle can just download something from the internet and edit it if needed. Yeah, I can look up cancer symptoms online, Michelle said. I'll coach you on how to act. I couldn't breathe, I literally could not breathe. These people, my family, were planning to scam me out of my entire life savings by pretending mom had cancer. And they'd been doing this for years. I backed toward the door as quietly as I could, my hands shaking so bad I almost dropped the cake. I sat in my car for a couple of minutes, trying to get my hands to stop shaking. Then I decided I needed to see this show for myself. I wanted to watch them try to manipulate me now that I knew exactly what they were doing. I walked back to the front door and this time I made sure to make noise. I jingled my keys, shut the door a little harder than usual, and called out loudly, "Hey everyone, I'm here." The voices from the kitchen stopped immediately. I heard some shuffling around, then Mom appeared in the doorway with this huge fake smile on her face. "Dana, oh honey, what a wonderful surprise. We weren't expecting you today." "Yeah, I know, I decided to come by and see you guys." I held up the cake box, I brought dessert. Dad and Michelle came out of the kitchen then. Dad gave me his usual pat on the shoulder and Michelle hugged me, but I could swear she looked a little nervous. "So what brings you by today?" Dad asked. "Well, I have some good news to share," I said, setting the cake down on the coffee table. "I got promoted at work today, senior account manager. Comes with a pretty big raise too." "Oh my God, Dana, that's amazing," Michelle said, but I could see the dollar signs in her eyes. "Yes, that's wonderful news," Mom said, "I'm so proud of you. And now you'll be making even more money." There it was, of course that's what she focused on. "Yeah, the raise is substantial," I said, "it's going to help a lot with my house fund. I've been saving for so long and I'm finally getting close to being able to buy something really nice." I watched their faces. Dad and Mom exchanged a quick glance. "Now Dana," Dad said, "you shouldn't rush into buying a house. That's a big decision, you need to think about it carefully." 100 times over, Mom added. "And you know, honey, you shouldn't forget that you have family. We might need your help at some point." Michelle was nodding along like they'd rehearsed this. Which, knowing what I knew now, they probably had. "I mean, I've been saving for 5 years," I said. "I think I've thought about it plenty." "But still," Mom said, and then she put her hand to her forehead like she was feeling faint. "Oh, I'm sorry, I've been feeling so unwell lately." And there it was, the setup. I watched her with new eyes as she swayed slightly, playing up the weakness. "Mom, are you okay?" I asked, playing my part too. "I don't know," she said, "I've just been so tired and achy. I probably need to see a doctor." "You definitely should," Michelle jumped in right on cue. "I keep telling her she needs to go to the hospital. I'll take her myself if I have to." I almost wanted to laugh at how obvious they were being. But instead I just nodded sympathetically. "Yeah, you should definitely get checked out, Mom. Health is more important than anything." "You're such a good daughter," Mom said, reaching over to squeeze my hand. "Always so caring about your family." The irony was not lost on me. We sat there for maybe 10 more minutes, making small talk. I couldn't even drink the tea Michelle made because my stomach was churning. Every time they spoke, all I could think about was how they'd been lying to me for years. Every time Mom touched my arm or Dad asked about my job, I wanted to scream. "You know what," I said finally, "I actually have some things I need to take care of at home. I should probably get going." "So soon?" Mom asked, "You just got here." "Yeah, I know, but I've got some important stuff to handle." I stood up and grabbed my purse, "But I'm really glad I could share the good news with you guys." "We're so proud of you, honey," Dad said. "Thanks, I'll call you guys later this week." I hugged them all goodbye, and it took everything I had not to pull away when they touched me. Michelle's hug felt like a snake wrapping around me. The drive home was a nightmare. I was shaking so bad I had to pull over twice just to calm down. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. I kept thinking about all the times I'd given them money, all the times I'd worried about them, all the times I'd felt guilty for not doing more. $5,000 for Aunt Carol's treatment. Aunt Carol, who was perfectly fine and living in Phoenix. The money that paid for their week in Hawaii instead. The cash I gave Dad when he said he was sick. Money that bought Michelle a designer purse. That $1,000 Michelle asked for last month. I didn't even ask what it was for because I trusted her. I just transferred it to her card like the naive idiot they thought I was. When I finally got home, I was still shaking. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat down at my kitchen table with my laptop. I needed to know exactly how much money I'd been scammed out of. I opened my banking app and started going through 5 years of transaction history. Every transfer to Mom, Dad, or Michelle. Every time I'd paid for dinner when we went out. Every birthday gift, every Christmas gift, every emergency they'd needed help with. The numbers kept adding up. 500 here, 2,000 there, that 5,000 for Aunt Carol. It was like watching my life savings drain away in reverse. After 2 hours of going through everything, I had my answer. $85,000. In 5 years, I'd given my family $85,000. And that was just the stuff I could prove. That didn't include all the times they'd apparently lied to me and I had no record of it. I sat there staring at that number on my laptop screen. $85,000. Money that could have bought me a house years ago. Money that could have changed my entire life. Money they'd stolen from me by pretending to be sick, pretending to need help, pretending to love me. I spent the next 3 hours moving my money around like I was planning a heist. First thing I did was open a new account at a completely different bank, one my family had never heard of. Then I transferred every single penny from my old accounts. My savings, my checking, even my emergency fund. All of it went to the new bank. Next, I went through every shared account or app we'd ever used. Venmo, PayPal, even that family budgeting app Mom had talked me into using last year. I removed myself from everything and changed all my passwords. Then I changed my security questions too, making sure none of the answers were things my family would know. It felt good, like I was finally taking back control. While I was doing all this, I remembered something that made my stomach drop. I'd been looking at houses near my parents'. There was this one house about 10 minutes from their place that I'd been seriously considering. I'd even had the realtor draw up preliminary paperwork. Thank God I hadn't signed anything yet. I called my realtor, Janet, right away. Dana, how are you? Are you ready to make an offer on that house we looked at? Actually, Janet, I need to cancel everything. I'm not buying in that area anymore. Oh, okay, can I ask why? Did something change? You could say that, family stuff. I'm not going to be staying in this area much longer. I understand. Well, if you change your mind, you know where to find me. After I hung up, I sat there thinking about my job. I loved my work, but I couldn't stay here anymore. Not with my family living 20 minutes away. Not with the constant possibility of running into them at the grocery store or having them show up at my office. I called my boss, Mr. Peterson, even though it was after hours. He answered on the second ring. Hi, Mr. Peterson, I'm sorry to call so late, but I need to talk to you about the promotion. What about it? You're not having second thoughts, are you? Actually, I am. I need to turn it down. And I'm thinking about quitting entirely. There was a long pause. Dana, this is very sudden, what's going on? It's family issues, I need to move away from this area, and I can't do that and keep the job. Hold on, he said, don't make any rash decisions. We have branches in other states. What if we could transfer you instead? I sat up straighter. Seriously? Absolutely, you're too valuable to lose. There's an opening in our Phoenix office, same position, same salary increase. Would that work? Phoenix, where Aunt Carol actually lived, the irony wasn't lost on me. That would be perfect, actually. Great, I'll make some calls tomorrow. We can probably have you transferred within the month. After we hung up, I called Janet back. Janet, it's Dana again, I want to look at houses in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm transferring there for work. Phoenix? Well, that's a big change. I don't work that market, but I can refer you to someone excellent out there. That would be great. The next morning, I woke up feeling lighter than I had in years. For the first time in forever, I wasn't worried about my family's problems or thinking about how I could help them. I was thinking about my own future. I was having my coffee when my phone rang. Mom. I stared at the screen for a minute, then answered, "Hi, Mom." "Dana, honey, I'm so glad you called yesterday. But I have some bad news." Her voice was weak and shaky. "I went to the doctor this morning. They think I might have cancer." I almost laughed. They were actually doing it. They were going through with their ridiculous plan. "Are you sure? A doctor told you that you have cancer without test results?" There was a pause. "He said he's almost certain based on my symptoms." "Dana, I'm scared." "I'm sure you are, Mom. That must be really frightening. I need you to come over. We need to have a serious family discussion." "Okay, I can come over in about an hour." I hung up and finished my coffee. This was going to be interesting. An hour later, I was back at my parents' house. This time I rang the doorbell instead of using my key. Dad answered the door looking all somber and worried. "Dana, thank God you're here. Your mother is in bad shape, she's been in bed all morning." I followed him to my parents' bedroom. Mom was lying there with the covers pulled up to her chin, looking pale and weak. Michelle was sitting in a chair next to the bed, holding Mom's hand. "Oh Dana," Mom said when she saw me, "I'm so glad you're here. How are you feeling?" "Terrible, I can barely keep my eyes open, the pain is awful." She did look sick, I'll give her that. But knowing what I knew, I could see how fake it all was. "The doctor says she needs surgery," Michelle said, "expensive surgery. It's going to cost $150,000. And we need to move fast if we want to save her." Mom started crying. "I don't want to die, Dana. I'm not ready to leave you girls." "We don't have that kind of money," Michelle said, "none of us do." "But you do, Dana. You're the only one who can help her. All our hope is in you," Dad added. They were all looking at me with these desperate expressions. If I didn't know better, I might have actually felt bad for them. Instead, I smiled. "Okay," I said, "I think it's time we all stopped pretending." The room went quiet. "What are you talking about?" Mom asked. "I'm talking about the conversation I heard yesterday when I came over. The one where you were planning this whole fake cancer thing to scam me out of my money." All three of them just stared at me. Dad's mouth was actually hanging open. "I know about Michelle's debts," I continued. "I know about the fake Aunt Carol treatments and the fake back problems. I know about all of it." Nobody said anything for a long moment. Then Michelle exploded. "Fine, you want to know the truth? I owe $150,000. To banks, to friends, to loan sharks. People are going to come after me if I don't pay. I tried to start a business and it failed. I'm in deep shit here, Dana. These people are going to sue me. Some of them are talking about criminal charges for fraud." "You should have thought about that before you took their money," I said. "Dana, please," Dad said, "you've always helped us before. Don't abandon us now." That's when I pulled out my phone and showed them the bank statements I'd printed out. $85,000, I said. "That's how much I've given you guys over the past 5 years. And that's just what I can prove." They all looked at the papers, then at each other. "I also know you've been lying to me the whole time," I continued. "About Aunt Carol's treatments, about Dad being sick, about everything. You spent my money on vacations and designer purses while I lived like a monk trying to save for a house." "Dana, we can explain," Mom started. "No, you can't, there's no explanation that makes this okay." I stood up and headed for the door. "This is no longer my problem. I'm never giving you money again, figure it out yourselves." I walked out and slammed the door behind me. The harassment started immediately. By the time I got home, I had 12 missed calls and about 20 text messages. Then the voicemails started coming in. Dana, please call me back. We need to talk about this. That was Dad. You can't just abandon your family like this, Michelle, screaming into the phone. Honey, please don't do this to us. Your sister is really depressed. She won't eat, she won't leave her room, Mom, trying to guilt trip me. I ignored all of it, every call, every text, every voicemail. I turned my phone to silent and focused on planning my move to Phoenix. Over the next few days, the messages got more desperate. Michelle texted me that Dad was having heart problems and that I should feel sorry for my parents. Mom wrote these long messages about how I was destroying the family and how Michelle was going to end up in prison because of me. I deleted everything without reading most of it. Then, about a week later, something happened that I should have seen coming but didn't. I was at work, having a meeting with my team about the Phoenix transfer, when my assistant knocked on the conference room door. Dana, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's a woman at the front desk who says she's your mother. She's asking to see you. I excused myself from the meeting and went to the lobby. There was Mom, crying and yelling at the receptionist. I need to see my daughter, this is a family emergency. Her sister is going to go to jail. Ma'am, you need to calm down, the receptionist was saying. Mom, I said, walking over to her. She turned around with this wild look in her eyes. Dana, thank God, you have to help us. We have to sell the house to pay Michelle's debts. Your father and I are going to lose everything because you won't help your sister. She was shouting now, and everyone in the lobby was staring at us. I could see some of my coworkers watching from the elevator bank. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, the security guard said as he walked over. This is my daughter, I have a right to talk to her. Not at her workplace, you don't, the guard said, let's go. Dana, please, Mom called as the security guard escorted her toward the door. Don't let them put your sister in prison. The guard walked her out to the parking lot while I stood there feeling humiliated. That was the last straw. I called my realtor contact in Phoenix that afternoon and told her I needed to find a place to live immediately. I also called Mr. Peterson and asked if we could speed up the transfer. Is everything okay? He asked. My family situation is getting out of hand. I need to get out of here as soon as possible. I understand, let me make some calls. 2 weeks later, I was on a plane to Phoenix with 2 suitcases and my laptop. Everything else was being shipped by the moving company. I'd given my landlord notice, closed my local bank account, and changed my phone number. The company put me up in a hotel for the first month while I looked for a place to live. It was weird being in a new city where nobody knew me, but also kind of liberating. For the first time in years, I wasn't worried about my family calling with some emergency or crisis. My new realtor, Sarah, was amazing. Within a month, she found me this perfect little house in Scottsdale. 2 bedrooms, nice yard, quiet neighborhood. It was exactly what I'd been dreaming about for years. Are you sure you want to make an offer this fast? Sarah asked. You've only been here a month. I'm sure, I said, this is perfect. The closing went smoothly, and suddenly I was a homeowner. I walked through my new house with the keys in my hand, and I actually started crying. Not sad tears, happy tears. This was mine. I'd worked for it, saved for it, and bought it with money that was actually mine. Work was going great too. My new team in Phoenix was awesome, and my boss out there really appreciated having someone with my experience. I was making more money than I'd ever made, and for the first time in my life, I got to keep all of it. I started making friends too. There was this group of women from work who went out for drinks on Fridays, and they invited me to join them. It was nice having friends who didn't know anything about my family drama and just accepted me for who I was. About 3 months after I moved, I got a call from my old friend Emma from high school. I'd given her my new number because we'd stayed in touch over the years. Dana, how are you liking Phoenix? I love it here, how are things back home? Well, that's actually why I'm calling. I ran into your parents at the grocery store yesterday. They asked me for your new phone number. They said they really miss you and want to reconnect. What did you tell them? I told them I'd ask you first. They seemed really desperate, Dana. They said they sold their house. Yeah, I heard about that. Your mom said they're living in some tiny apartment now. And your sister still has debt problems. Emma, don't give them my number. I don't want them to have it. There was a pause. Okay, I won't give it to them. But Dana, they're your family. Not anymore, they're not. After I hung up, I felt a little sad but also relieved. They'd actually sold their house to pay Michelle's debts. Part of me wondered how they were doing, but a bigger part of me didn't care. They'd made their choices, and now they had to live with the consequences. I never called Emma back to ask for more details, and she never brought it up again when we talked. That was 6 months ago. I still live in my house in Phoenix, and I absolutely love it. I've got a little garden in the backyard where I grow tomatoes and herbs. I've made some really good friends at work and joined a hiking group that meets on weekends. Last month I even went on a date with this guy I met at a coffee shop. I have no idea how my parents or Michelle are doing, and honestly, I don't want to know. I assume they figured something out since nobody's in jail, but that's not my problem anymore. For the first time in my adult life, I'm living for myself. My money is my own, my decisions are my own, my life is my own. And it feels amazing.